Everybody can hear me? If you have questions, raise your hands. Sorry, we are a big group in a small space, but small houses. Now I'm Anne. That is the second half of my bed. That's the chef. That's the chocolatier. We are here on this premises about 26 years. Yeah, and we may still make chocolate how it used to be done. Yeah. As you perhaps saw here in Bruges, we have about 63 shops of chocolate. Only 8 who still makes their own chocolate. All the rest is industrial. Yeah? So there's a large difference. So I tried to explain you how we make chocolate and what the difference is. Okay? Now, as you perhaps know, that the chocolate comes from the cocoa bean and the cocoa pot with the beans. This is the fresh version. So it grows on the trees. But it doesn't grow here, yeah? Because here we have enough moist, but not the warmth. And what the cocoa tree needs to grow is warmth, moist, and shade. 3 things. Everybody sees it? So that's the fresh version, how it grows on the tree. Like you see where my husband is standing, that's taken in Sao Tomé in Brazil, between the cocoa trees. So where does it mostly grow? Well, you have here the equator. I'm saying it right?
Ecuador.
I always forget the name. Yeah. Or the equator.
Equator.
So under the equator, that's where they grow. Yeah? Because there you have a perfect climate to grow those trees. Yeah? Now the trees are mostly in combination with fruit trees. Mostly, not all of the time. And why? Well, we can use pesticides to protect our crops, but most of those countries can't. So the flies and everything leave the cocoa tree alone and goes to the fruit tree. Yeah? The second reason is mostly the cocoa tree is in combination with banana trees. And I told you the tree has also needing shade to protect the pots. And like a banana tree, they have big leaves. So they cover up the cocoa pots. Yeah? But not all of the time, it depends. So where do they grow? From South of America down under, then Africa very known, mostly very known is the Ivory Coast, very known. Also Indonesia, Madagascar and Vietnam, they're starting growing the cocoa trees. So that's all different. Now every cocoa tree has specific tastes. They're all different in tastes. Brazil is, for example, very fruity. Peru is very bitter. Vietnam is citrus. Ecuador is dry, all different in taste. Yeah. Well, now the cocoa pot is ripe, and you see it a little bit purpley, orangey, that means the cocoa pot is good. Then they take them out of the tree, split them in half, take out the beans, and spread them on the ground in the country itself to dry them. Yeah. The dry endures between about 8 to 10 weeks, also depending country by country. Yeah. After the drying, then we close them up with something. If they have banana leaves, they will close them up with banana leaves or wooden boards. And that's for fermentation. Why fermentation? Fermentation is necessary to elevate the flavor in the chocolate. Yeah? The duration is 10 to 12 weeks. Again, country to country, all different kinds. And when the cocoa beans are good, dried and fermented, then they come here, but not straight here. First, they go to Amsterdam. And you say, yeah, why Amsterdam? Amsterdam is below the sea level. Yeah? And you always have a good humidity to preserve those beans well. Like we have a chamber upstairs with perfect humidity and temperature to preserve them. Yeah? This is how it looks when it comes in. This is like the Ecuador. There already you can see they are light, big, and very irregular. Yeah? Light, big, and irregular. So that's like the Ecuador. Yeah, different, irregular, big, lighter, different colors. See? So they come in bags like this. I put some on the table that you can see it. So this is like, for example, the Ecuador. Very big, light. And also you see the difference between.
Yes, very dry.
This is like Vietnam. You see they are smaller, darker. See? Yeah, darker and smaller and more regular. That's for example Vietnam.
Oh, yeah, the second one. Yeah.
Vietnam.
Are they more expensive?
Well, it depends. Depends from country to country.
They're more expensive. Oh, depends.
That's the Vietnam, yeah. You've got it?
Vietnam.
Yeah?
Vietnam size.
Yeah. You see, there are more darker and more smaller.
Vietnamese.
You see, darker, smaller. Already you have a difference between the beans.
Ecuador,
Now
Vietnam.
we have a very special diet before we're going to taste the beans like that. So before we purchase them, we go to Amsterdam or our contact comes here with the beans, and then we have a special diet. Because we taste the beans like that, to be sure what's going to be like, dry or whatever, or what the quality is. Yeah? Our diet is, the night before, no drinking, no alcohol, no garlic, no spicy food, no coffee, special diet, and in the mornings preferably no coffee, just water. That our palate is very neutral to taste the beans. So that it's a strict diet. So we taste the beans like that to see how it's done or what it's gonna be like. The bean always doesn't change from flavor, only the quality can change. That means when our contact comes here or we go over there, she has a wooden board, she puts the beans inside, she puts them back together again, and then with like a knife, like a guillotine, she splits them in half. And that's the first control check that we do to see incense, worms, dryness, fatness of the bean, and so on. And then we're gonna taste it. So we go on taste, we go on balance of price, because the price of the beans can come from 10 euros a kilo up to 10,000 euros a kilo.
Wow.
It all depends the country, and also we have two things. We have protected grow and we have wild grow. Protected grow means that the trees has a chip, and it's by satellite, it is controlled, and the production is controlled. That you always have a nice balance in production. Because it's not like our crops, for example, apples. Apples grows, or the season is end of September, October. Cocoa trees, always growing, because you always have constantly climate temperature. It's not like apples, you say, okay, it's September, we're gonna pick the apples, done. Cocoa trees, always growing. So they control the growth of the cocoa tree, and the production, of course. The wild grow is little islands that nobody knows they exist sometimes, and the people once or twice comes on land and they trade it because they don't really sell it, but there are clever people who buy them up and sell them for big money. Because it's really not known, it's wild grow. Yeah. When we have the beans here, we're going to first roast them, and when they are roasted, then we're going to crush it with the dough roll. Start with my husband when he's not. So we're going to crush it with the dough roll, and then when they are crushed and cooled off, we're going to put it in this green machine over here. So it goes in here, and what it does, it separates the peels from the nips. You see? So that's the first thing that we do, peels and the nips. Peels and nips. Now nothing goes to waste. The peels I throw, you use mulch, well I use my cocoa peels in my garden. Flowers or whatever. And this is what we need to make the chocolate. Yeah? Yeah. Then the cocoa nips, we put them in another crusher or a Thermomix, whatever, to have it really small. And after that, so we can, and use as I know. And after that, when they are crushed in the Thermomix, we're going to put it in a machine like this. This is a small version, but you have also a big version. 2 stones or 3 stones, always turning. And the chocolate has to turn for about 48 to 50 hours. So it goes in this, it turns, turns, turns. and it turns for 48 to 50 hours. This is a small version, and you have big versions as well. This is small version. And when it turns about 20 hours, we're all gonna taste it. Yeah? Why? Again, we have younger people, older people, smoking people, all different kinds of flavored packs. Yeah? And then my husband asked what they think about it to see what we're gonna do with the recipe. Yeah? Like I told you, Peru is very, very bitter. Yeah? So what my husband decided was to put about natural sugar extra to it. Otherwise, it's not eatable. I like very bitter, but when you guys will eat the raw virgin, everybody will say, ugh, what's that? So it's not eatable, it's not sellable. Yeah? Like we had a part of Cuba, the Havana beans, they were perfect like it was. Everybody says, wow, it's great fat in it, great everything inside, so we leave it like that. So every chef can choose what they're gonna do with the beans. It's not written, by Brazil beans you have to do this, by this you have to do that, no. Like the Ecuador I told you is very, very dry, so what we did is put extra cocoa butter into it. Yeah? Now in the bean itself, you have 3 products. The cocoa butter we don't make ourselves. Yeah? Why? That's done by large factories. What the large factory do more than we do, like from the bean to the bar, like I told you, well, they put the same thing, roast them, crush them, peel them, then they put them in large tube beans. It's always turning, the same like with the stones. But they extract the cocoa butter, they left over the cocoa masa, and then what's left over in the tube beans, they dry freeze it, and then you have cocoa powder. And that's the difference between industrial and artisanal chocolatiers. What they do is assemble back those products. So they can say we're going to put 30% this inside, we're going to use 20%. That's why on bars and supermarkets you can see 90% cocoa. That means they put lots of this inside, cocoa powder inside. Or when they say 30% cocoa masa, it means this. So they does it differently than we do. Yeah? I can't see how much cocoa butter is into the bean. I only can taste it, but I can't see it or measure it. Yeah? This we purchase because then we use it for the cocoa beans to make it extra moisty and extra fatty. Otherwise, we use this as well to airbrush the molds for having coloring. So we melt this, put coloring inside, and the coloring is from plants or flowers or whatever, all natural, and then we airbrush the molds to have a coloring, like green or red or whatever you want to have. So this is 3 products. Also what they do with the industrials, they lose the cocoa butter and put palm oil instead to make it cheaper. They put flour extra to it to make it cheaper, to make it conspicuous. Huh? That's what we don't do as artisanal chocolatiers. Now, if you want to make milk chocolate, we just add to the consistency, we add milk powder to it. And then you have milk chocolate. Now, white chocolate is not really chocolate. It's all cocoa butter and milk powder. Because for us chocolatiers, white chocolate is not really chocolate, but you have to have it. Sorry. Now we make from the beans into the bars. Why only from bean to bar? You have already a specific taste. And otherwise, if you want to do it filled chocolates, you each time changes again the flavor. So the beans we only use for the bars. If we now want to make the filled chocolates, we're going to use a blend of what we use is a blend from the Ivory Coast beans. Why? They are more neutral from taste, more cacao, but more neutral in taste to make the filled chocolates. Okay? Now, how do we make the filled chocolates? Well, the filled chocolates are made in a mold, plastic mold. Now, everywhere you can see the same forms in every shop. It doesn't mean it's the same chocolate or the same filling inside. Why? Industrial or artisanal chocolatiers buy these molds at one factory in Antwerp or in Italy. That's why it's all the same. Yeah? But it doesn't mean the same chocolate or the same filling. So we need the molds. In the other days it was in iron. It was too heavy. Now let it pass through, and then you can feel the difference. And you pass it. So you pass it through that you can feel the difference. Now it's in plastic. So what we do with the mold, when the temperature is right, like you see here, 29 degrees, at night we bring the temperature up to about 40 degrees to have a nice fluid chocolate and no crystallization, no burning taste. At morning when we come in, we bring the temperature down to 28, 29 degrees to have a nice shiny look on your chocolates. Now when you see here the machine pours out the mouth, with the mold we go under the mouth of chocolates. It pours in all the holes, and then we're going to let it vibrate. Now, why vibration? Why vibration? There's air in chocolate. Yeah? It's not bad for your health, but when we pull them out, you will easily break. Yeah? And then we scrape it off, and then you have your couverture of chocolates. All done by hand, nothing by machine. So this is the couverture. Now it's ready to fill up. Yeah. Also now there's a large difference between the industrial artisanal chocolatiers. For the filling, the real chocolatiers always use chocolate as base. Two exceptions. That's the liquid caramel and the cherry liqueur. All the rest, you bite in it and you can see what's inside. Yeah. Base chocolate with real products, I mean real products, strawberry thyme, fresh strawberries, fresh hazelnuts, roasting, making a praline, and so on. Yeah? Industrials, they just do a sugary syrup with pipette of aroma, and done. And that's why when you bite it, oh my God, it's leaking out all the way. No, that's just a sugar ball. And that's what makes you like this, all the sugars. Yeah? So we use pure stuff, then put it in a spritting bag or piping bag. Just right behind you, sorry, again. In a spitting bag or piping bag, and then we sprit it by hand in the little holes of chocolate. All done again by hand. After that, we leave it open for one night, and it's called breeding or setting the chocolates. And after that night, under the mouth of chocolate again, so it pours all over the cream, scrape it off, and you have the chocolates. We have another product that's called truffles, and truffles is like this. That's the center of the truffle with extra cocoa butter, also done with a spritting bag on a plate like this. And then tomorrow or after tomorrow, we're going to see when we have the time, they're going to stand by two on the table. One is dipping it in chocolates. One is dipping it in chocolate, and the other one is rolling it with grapes or chocolate or nuts or whatever, or almonds like this that we roasted. You can do whatever you want with it. We also have like the cherries, and the cherries is not with an injection with alcohol, no. Now we have the cherry with the stone inside, very important for the taste. Yeah? And now we make a syrup of sugar with the goose, with the eau de vie de kirsch. Again, they're dipping it into the syrup, dipping it into the chocolate, and we pull them aside for about 8 weeks, and we don't look at them. And what happens is that syrup that sticks around the cherry becomes liquid alcohol again. Yeah? Distillate, the same thing. Sugar becomes alcohol, same. Now to preserve the chocolates well, our chocolates you can keep, the filled chocolate, 6 to 8 weeks. Solid chocolate, 1 year and longer. Yeah? But not into the fridge. Why? For the good taste of your chocolate. If you say, yeah, but I have a warm country, you can always put them in the fridge, take them out of the bit, they come to the senses. Yeah? And then there's a large difference again. Industrials will say, put them in the fridge. Why? They use lots of sugars. In the fridge, you don't taste the sugars. Real chocolate, never in the fridge. Also, when you eat chocolates and you have enough, reclose the box very good again. Why? Chocolate absorbs all the odors of the surroundings. Here we always have chocolate odor at home, cooking, dogs walking around, burning candles. That's why also the manual, they can't wear perfume when they work in the chocolate. That it absorbs. Always reclose the box very good and then chocolate will stay. Are there any questions? I'm finished with my story.
Very nice story.
Now open for tasting. If you have questions, just ask. Huh? I pass here the truffles that way, okay? Each take
Alright,
it.
we're
And
now
then that side, and you
tasting.
come like this.
Tasting
And then
moment.
you pass this, and you go.
How much is the sack of beans?
How much of what?
The beans.
Yeah.
You buy the beans
Yeah?
in Holland or wherever you
Yeah, Amsterdam, yeah.
It's like a market in the like the
Yeah,
coffee.
marketing, like in the coffee, like in the, with everything, yeah. Again, how the production is. For example, you have like a few years ago in Ghana, they had a disease on the cocoa tree. And when we want to buy them, they were very high in price. Why? There were less beans. Now, for example, we can't have any Cuba beans. Why? Cuba, of political reasons. Since president was died, and everything is changing in Cuba, and we see that, it's political, in political reasons, we can't get any, for the moment, Cuban beans. Yeah, they have the cocoa, they have the beans. They have the cocoa, they have the beans, but for the moment we can't purchase them for political reasons. So every influence is different.
What makes the beans expensive?
What it makes expensive, it's like on Wall Street, and I just told the other person, that is the production. Like a few years ago in Ghana, they had a disease on the trees, so there was not much production. So the beans were very high in price. So that's the reason, production, production. Now for the moment we can't have Cuban beans because of political reasons. So when we want to purchase them, we have to pay big money to get some Cuban beans. So it all depends, influence, politics, production, whatever. How good the bean is, that's your own taste. We don't have, oh, that's a bestseller, or that's a good bean. It's to your own taste. Like the favorites,
Your favorite?
My favorite is in fact the Peruvian. Why? Because they're very bitter. I like very bitter chocolates.
Which one you said?
Peruvian, from Peru. From Peru, yeah. I like that one very much. But that's me. For the truffles, it's a blend of beans from the Ivory Coast. Because they're more neutral. Yeah, the Ivory Coast. Yeah, Africa, the Ivory Coast. That's the blend that we use for beautiful chocolates. Yeah, it's going one truffle and one chocolate.
Yeah.
It's different from the coffee beans.
Excuse me?
It's different from the coffee beans.
It's a little bit different. But
But can you use coffee beans?
Coffee beans are smaller. Cocoa beans are bigger.
You said that the white chocolate is not good.
not for us, no.
What does it have?
Only the cocoa butter,
Yeah?
only this, and with milk powder, that's it. It's no cocoa masa and no cocoa powder. Yes?
What's the difference between dark chocolate and not so dark chocolate?
The milk chocolate.
Oh,
Yeah?
yes.
That's the dark chocolate is the whole thing, cocoa butter, cocoa masa, and cocoa powder. How much? It depends on the bean. But milk powder is the whole thing, but then extra milk powder to it, so it becomes light. Yeah? That's the milk chocolate. So we have white, milk, and dark. Yeah, 99. That's industrial. Yeah. It's like I told you that the industrials, they accept it. You can put less sugar, it exists, 99% it exists, but it's industrial. They choose what they want to do with it. But mostly they won't use any cocoa butter, they will use palm oil to make it cheaper, and they said it's 99% cocoa. We can't say how much cocoa is in Ecuador or in Vietnam. I can't see how much cocoa, there's no map. measurement for it. You can just do an indication. But industrials, yeah, they can say we're going to put 30% this, 20% that. That's why on our bars you never see what's inside, because we can't measure it. Industrials can't. They have to put on 30% this, 30% that, 30% that. So they can really, yeah, mix and match, that we call it. We can't mix and match. We do it like we used to do it, or like the Inca used to do it, because the Incas were the first to know what chocolate was.
So you mix and match the ingredients.
You can mix and match the beans, yeah. My husband won a prize with mix and matching the beans 5 years ago. So every year in Paris, all chocolatiers come together and they can match and mix the beans. And they're working on a project for 1 week, and that's jury. And then they pick out and they say, oh, that chocolate, so he won 5 years ago a prize with the or noir. It's called or noir. It's not the money that you won a prize. It's honor, fame.
Yeah.
And that is 3 beans. He uses the San Tomeo Brazilian bean, he used the Ghana bean, and he used the Tanzania bean for making the or noir, for example. But mostly we stay with 1 bean, because it's already specific, and otherwise, yeah, each time changes. But you can mix and match beans if you want to. No problem. Did you like the chocolate?
Yes. Thank you so much.
No more questions? Yeah?
Regarding the molds that you pour the chocolate into, like
Yeah.
I take from iron it does to plastic. That's a piece of plastic that affect anything in there, because I heard that if you hit plastic, something comes out from there that's toxic.
No, no. Actually, the iron was more toxic than the plastic. And also the plastic, especially, yeah, it's industrialized, especially made for chocolatiers, and it's also antibacterial. So you really, our molds in plastic, you can't break them easily. They don't break. You can let them fall, they won't break. What it happens is, if you use longer the molds, then you can see that that the chocolate becomes more and more sticky. And what we have to do then is clean them and then put them in a cocoa butter bath, like this. So then we empty a machine, yeah, and then we put all cocoa butter inside, and then we put the molds inside and then let them dry. And then they are fatty again, that the chocolate comes out. But that's after years. But the plastic now, the plastic forms are antibacterial. It's made antibacterial. Yeah. Yeah. But iron was already, that's more toxic than plastic. But you can use like the blisters, we call it blisters. And a blister is a fine plastic, but that you can only use 1 time. And that you have to throw away. And that is what you're saying for the toxic things. Why? They reuse it. As some clever ones say, oh, I'm going to reuse it. No. Normally a blister, 1 time, throw it away.
I know the plastics that we drink in bottles, if you leave the water inside the car and then it comes in, it's like toxic.
Yeah. But not with the molds for the chocolate. The blisters, that's something else. Don't have a blister here. Show you the blister.
Looking for the blister, whatever that is. Just eat,
I know, that's right. She never mentioned about
just eat chocolate, whatever.
So this is a blister that we call it. And that's with sugar that's now for making the lollies. So you see it's very fine plastic.
What is that?
That's to make lollies, and that is a sugar print. And when it comes in contact with chocolate, then the sugar comes on the chocolate for the lollies, and it's eatable of course, and then you have your transfer. But this is a blister And that one has to throw away. That's the ones you have to throw away. But they are always for cheaper reasons. Oh, we're gonna reuse it. We're gonna reuse it. But no, normally one time. If we do them, after that, throw them away. You see? And then you can use also like rubber things, but the rubber forms, it's not easy to work with. You will have to be like my husband, a really chocolatier working years and years and years to handle the rubber molds, but mostly the younger people, they can't use it because it's sticky and I can't use it. I really work with the plastic molds because it's more faster, but you have to have a steady hand. He has a steady hand, so. But this one is like a blister.
What's the difference between chocolate and cacao?
Chocolate and cacao. Cacao is in fact, the cacao masa is this one. That's cacao masa. That's cacao.
That's bitter, right?
That's bitter, yeah. Bitter but no taste. Yeah. I like it. The life better, yeah, the life.
In the truffles we tasted, there was what percentage?
Depends which chocolate that you had from truffle. Which you had a
The
white
one
one, a
truffle.
dark one. If you have a dark chocolate, that dark chocolate is 72% cacao to give an indication. Yeah? That's 72. White, no cacao, because it's no cacao masa, no cacao powder inside. And milk chocolate can be 53, can be 56, can be, depends. Yeah?
White chocolate, I thought it was white chocolate. It's not white chocolate.
It's not chocolate, I know. But I know much of the people, I see much of, like more Spanish people, they like white chocolate, very sweet. The southern people, we can see that. Southern people always like the sweeter chocolate. The sweet things.
Does Mexico have cacao?
Yeah,
They do?
yeah. They have cocoa beans.
Cocoa beans?
Yeah, they have cocoa beans, Mexican cocoa beans.
Do they
And they're more, yeah. Yeah, we have Mexican bars. Yeah.
Guatemala too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they have, yeah.
I know in the Caribbean, like,
Yeah. In the Caribbean, yeah, you can have cocoa beans, cocoa trees as well, but not that much. It's better on, yeah, the bigger lands or whatever. But in Mexico, they have it. They have all under the equator. They can grow cocoa trees.
I heard that the Incas, no, the Aztecs
Yeah.
in Mexico,
Yeah.
they were already drinking
Yeah.
cocoa.
Yeah, they drank already. Yeah. And then it's Columbus who brought the beans to Europe. Yeah. Why? Because then he brought potatoes and he brought spices and he brought everything, and cocoa beans came also. The Incas were the first, like you said. Also, the Incas used the chocolate to put on their skin when they go out working in the sun, that they don't burn. They use it as medicine because in chocolate there's really energy. There's proven in chocolate, dark chocolate, that's not the white chocolate. In dark chocolate you had, there's proven there's first of all endorphins in it when you're feeling down. And you say, oh my God, I'm feeling, and eat a piece of chocolate, you become happy, high. And also in dark chocolate there's proven, I don't know the chemical name or laboratory name, but there's something into it that keeps the brain healthy, young. Dark chocolate, it's an antioxidant for the body, and also for the brain that keeps the brain healthy and young.
Chocolate
When you eat
plus.
dark chocolate, I don't speak for white chocolate.
The chocolate plus. La
If you eat a pure virgin, then it's less calories. Yeah, there's less calories because it's all pure. It's not palm oil, it's there's nothing anymore.
Thank you very much.
Was it interesting?
Very interesting.
All like the filled chocolates, when you buy these all sugar bombs, the feta aroma, and that's what makes you. It's with everything, right? Like real food or from stuff inside.